Today we're going to be discussing easing transition into parenthood for you new parents out there, and we're also going to be discussing shaken baby syndrome, and we're going to be discussing ways to help an inconsolable or crying baby. Okay? So each one of you are beginning the journey into the unique yet rewarding and sometimes stressful situation of becoming a new parent. How many new parents do we have in here? A couple in here. Okay, great. So let me begin by first discussing how to prep for your baby. So today we're going to start off by not discussing the thousands and thousands of probably emails and phone calls you receive from family members telling you how to do this or that. I'm just going to give you a few pointers that hopefully will make the transition a little bit easier. So first, a couple tips that I have is you want to just make sure you prep your home. Make sure you have not maybe an entire nursery, but hopefully an area or crib, bassinet, whichever you decide to go with, to have the baby have his own his or her own living space. Also an area for the supplies, so that you'll actually realize after a little while how much space all this stuff takes up. So the next thing that I'm going to cover is a few of the things that you're going to maybe need to purchase. Some of these items you can purchase firsthand, secondhand, but you want to make sure that you obviously have a car seat for the ride home, a federally approved one. There's a lot of websites, a lot of good tools out there so that you can find out which ones are past the national accreditation for it as well. So the internet is a great tool when it comes to that. Some of those you may not want to get secondhand also because they do have expiration dates on them. So you're going to want to make sure you get the latest and most current car seats that are approved. You also want to make sure that you're buying those items for the baby that you don't want to be rushing out last minute for. You want to make sure you have the diaper bag together. You want to make sure you have plenty of diapers because you're going to be running through those at a pretty high rate, as well as wipes. You want to make sure that you have the receiving blankets, things of that nature, so that you also are just prepared and you can kind of bring that stress level down. You want to also make sure that you're taking care of each other. As far as being mentally, physically, and financially prepared for this, you want to make sure that you and the spouse have a delivery plan. Make sure you know where the hospital is. Discuss these things if you have other children, where they're going to be at during the actual birth of the child. You also want to make sure that you are spending the time together before the pregnancy, because this is going to kind of be your last few moments. You've been hearing for the last 9 months about how your baby's been growing and developing. You also want to make sure that you're taking care of each other, spending quality time before the baby comes, because it is going to be a stressful situation, so you want to make sure that you're as calm as possible before this all kicks off. So that kind of leads into my second part of my speech here, which is the stressful part of the situation and some unfortunate things that happen during child rearing is child abuse, and a form of that is shaken baby syndrome. So I've actually brought we've had a baby that was gracious enough to be turned into a doll. No, I'm just kidding here. This is actually a doll. So I'm gonna have somebody come up here and actually give you a little bit of a demonstration on shaken baby syndrome and kind of the injuries and things that could potentially happen if somebody were to come up and shake a baby. This is something that could only last for a few seconds, but it could have lasting damage for the rest of our life. So you can go ahead and give it a whirl here. So as you can see, it's lighting up here. There's obviously some hemorrhaging going on in the brain, not to get too technical with you, but it could cause the type of injuries could be cerebral edema, which would be the swelling of the brain here. You can also see, if you shake it one more time, you could cause retinal hemorrhaging here, which could cause blindness. Thank you. So what you want to make sure that you're doing is you're taking the proper steps so that an incident like this would never happen, because 25% of the children that actually experience this form of child abuse end up dying from it, and 80% of them also end up suffering lifetime disabilities just because of a few seconds of frustration. So, which brings me into my last piece, which is how to console a crying baby, because a lot of the perpetrators of this type of child abuse are frustrated at the time, and they are also not given the type of tools that they needed to be able to get their baby and maybe take themselves away from the situation. So that may be one tip right there. If you have a baby that just won't stop crying for hours on end, which some have been deemed colic, but it's typically normal for a baby to cry 1 to 5 hours a day, and that's completely normal. If you ever have any kind of concerns that it may be something other than just a baby crying, always you want to consult your medical provider. But it is a completely normal thing. You just kind of want to go down a checklist of things it could be. You want to make sure that the baby has a clean, dry diaper. Sometimes the baby will be hungry. Sometimes it needs to be burped. Sometimes babies just need to be held. And sometimes they just need to cry. So you want to remember these things, and also just remember, use your partner too. If you need to step away from the situation before it escalates, or if you feel yourself getting a little bit too frustrated, you want to make sure that you can say, here, take the baby for a minute, I'm going to walk away, and I'm going to calm down a little bit. You also want to make sure that you're talking to somebody about this as well. So today we covered a few things. We spoke about kind of the few steps for prepping for your baby, getting ready for your new child that's coming into the world. We also spoke about shaken baby syndrome, some of the injuries and the causes behind it, and we talked about consoling a crying baby. I want to thank you for your time, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you.